thanks for visiting my channel. It is Memorial Day weekend, and that means it's the beginning of the summer grilling season, and that means all kinds of yummy things to grill up. But one of our favorites, I think almost everybody's favorite, is a great burger. So what would be a great burger without a great bun, right? So today we are going to be making burger buns. Now you can use this recipe for obviously any kind of bun. You can shape them into buns for brats, you can shape them into buns for hot dogs, you can make slider buns, that's the size I'm gonna make today because we're gonna have sliders for dinner tonight. But this recipe will make 8 full-size buns or 16 slider buns and about 8 to 10 hot dog or brat buns, depending on how large you make them and how you shape them. Now this recipe is another super simple one. It does take a little bit of time for your rising, but it's well worth the effort. This recipe is from the King Arthur Flour website. I love their website, guys. If you're not using that as a resource, I highly encourage you to go give them a look because they have a lot of delicious recipes over there. Great advice and tips on not only bread baking, but pies, cakes, cookies, all those kinds of things. And just as an FYI, I always use King Arthur flour. Their flour is more expensive, but I think it's worth the money. It's really high quality, and I love the fact that they are an employee-owned company, and I love supporting that. So let's get started making our buns. I'm gonna use my mixer to do all my work. You can do your kneading by hand or you can use your mixer. It's entirely up to you. But this is a really nice recipe and it's really delicious. Now I will say I have tried some other recipes that don't take as long for rising and all that, but this is by far my favorite. So this is the one we're going to do today. So in my bowl I have 3½ cups of all-purpose flour, and to that we are going to add, let's start with our yeast. You need a tablespoon of yeast, about 1.5 teaspoons of salt, about 1/4 cup of sugar. I always use slightly less. A bread recipe calls for sugar. I don't like my bread real sweet, but the recipe does call for 1/4 cup. I do just slightly less than that. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of melted butter and 1 egg slightly beaten. And then we're going to add about 1 cup of lukewarm water. And that's it. You just put it all in your mixing bowl. I use my dough hook. You can use your regular mixing blade if you want to. The dough hook takes a little longer for things to come together, but then I don't have to wash 2 things. So I just use the dough hook, and I'm going to turn it on low to get things stirred up so I don't give myself a bath in flour. And then I'm going to turn it up just a little bit to get everything nice incorporated. Once I have a nice shaggy dough, then I'm going to turn it back down to low and I'm going to knead it in my mixer for 7 minutes. If you choose to knead by hand, you're going to knead for 10 minutes. Okay guys, I've brought you in close. I'm hoping that you can see this okay. This is what I mean by a shaggy dough. You can see that. It's starting to come together, so now I'm going to turn my mixer back down to low and we're going to knead it for 7 minutes. Okay guys, we're back. Our knead time is up, and you want your dough to be soft, smooth, and stretchy. It should almost feel like a rubber band. After you've warmed it up, how it feels stretchy. It should be a little bit sticky, tacky, but it should be nice and smooth and soft. So that's what we're looking for. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna let it raise, and you know my trick. I've talked about this before. I just turn my oven on low for like 10-15 seconds, just enough to take the chill off and warm it just a tiny bit. And then I turn it off. And that's how I proof my bread. But you can put it in any warm spot. And I like to use my large measuring cup because you can tell, because of the numbers on it, the measures on it, you can tell when it's doubled in size. So I love using this. It's a great tool to use. So I sprayed the inside of my bowl with non-stick spray, and then I always cover mine with plastic wrap, and then I cover it with a clean kitchen towel. I'm gonna put mine in my slightly warmed oven for about an hour. It can take a little longer for it to double in size. It just depends on your yeast and how warm it is. But we're gonna let it go for about an hour. We want it to double in size, and then when we come back, we're going to shape them into buns, shape our dough into buns, and we're gonna let them rise a second time. So I'll bring you back. Okay guys, we're back, and our bread dough has definitely doubled in size. Look how beautiful that is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shape it. We're going to punch it down, and then we're going to shape it. We're having sliders tonight, so I'm going to make mine little guys. But like I said, you can make 8 regular size, and they're good. When I say regular size, they're good size buns. Or you can do 16 littles. So I am going to do the little ones. And I just eyeball it. If you want each one to be perfectly shaped and the exact same amount, then you're going to want to weigh it. I don't do that. I just eyeball it, and we're going to start by making them into little balls. And I just use my folding under technique like I did for my dinner rolls. If you have a crease or any type of imperfection on the top, it will be like that when it raises. So I try to make sure that they're nice and smooth on top. And after you put them on your baking sheet after you roll them, and you want to put them on a baking sheet lined with parchment, you're going to pat them down a little bit. And you can either use your fingers, or you can use the bottom of a measuring cup, or anything. You can use anything flat. I just use my hands and kind of mash it down a little bit. So we're going to start rolling. I'm just going to go through and flatten them out just a little bit more because they want to shrink up a little bit. And we want them to be flatter like a bun and not like a real puffy like a roll. Now what we're going to do is and you can see how I flattened them out some. And I'm going to cover them with my plastic wrap, and then I'm going to put them back in my oven, not heated, just for proofing, and let them raise for another hour. Now they're going to be puffy, but they're not going to be doubled in size. So we just want to give them a rise time of another hour. Cover them with my plastic wrap, and then I put my clean kitchen towel over them, and we're going to let them get nice and puffy. And then I'm going to actually leave them in the oven until I have to preheat my oven to 375. So I'm going to let them sit in there and proof for like 35 minutes or so. Then I'm going to take them out, put them on top of my stove, and let the oven preheat to 375. And then before we put them into bake, I'm going to brush the tops of them with an egg wash, and then I'm going to sprinkle them with some delicious everything bagel seasoning. Now you can do sesame seeds, you can do whatever topping you want, and if you don't want a topping at all, you don't have to do anything further, but I'll bring you back for that step. But we're gonna let them proof for another hour. Okay guys, our rise time is done. So we're gonna remove our plastic wrap. Look at those beautiful slider buns. Gorgeous. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to brush the tops of mine with an egg wash. It's just an egg white with about 2 tablespoons of water, and I whisked it together. And then I'm going to top mine with this This is Fresco Spice Blends Everything But. So it's a everything bagel seasoning kind of deal. It's got 2 kinds of sesame seeds. It has rosemary, onion flakes, garlic flakes, a little bit of salt. It's really, really delicious. So I'm going to top mine with this. You do not have to do this. You can totally skip this step. If you want nice shiny buns, you can just go ahead and brush the tops of them with the egg wash, and that'll make them nice and shiny. Or you can just bake them off as is, and when they come out, do a little bit of brushing them with nice warm butter or melted butter on top, and they're really, really delicious. So I'm going to get busy topping mine. So you just want to lightly brush them with your egg wash. Oh, they smell so good. I love that yeasty smell. So again, for the second rise, you're just waiting for them to get nice and puffy, not doubled in size necessarily. And as you could tell, some of mine are bigger than others. I don't care that mine are different sizes. If you want all of them uniform, you can, like I said, weigh your dough balls and make sure they're all even, but I don't care that they're different sizes. They're close enough for me. So we're just going to brush them all, and then we're going to take our spice blend and sprinkle them on top. Makes them beautiful and extra delicious. Okay, in they go to a preheated 375-degree oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. Just keep your eye on them. It's going to depend on how big your buns are. If you do regular size buns, obviously those are going to take a little longer baking time than the smaller ones that I've done. So in they go, and when they're done, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, we're back. Our buns are all done, and they are absolutely gorgeous. They're still kind of hot. I've only let them cool a minute or two, but look how beautiful those are. It smells amazing in my kitchen. Because I'm a little extra, I went ahead and took a pat of butter and just used a butter knife and let it melt down over the top of them, even though I did top them with the egg wash and the seeds. I went ahead and did the butter too, but that's entirely up to you. That's what's so great about making your own, is you can do it any way you want. But I wanted to show you up close how beautiful they are. This one I went ahead and cut so that you could see how beautiful they are inside. It's still steaming because it's still kind of hot, but see how beautiful. They're so good. I love this recipe. Like I said, you can find other recipes that are less, not necessarily labor intensive, because I don't really see this as labor intensive, but it does take time to let them rise. And there are recipes that don't call for that, but honestly, this is my favorite. I use this one. This is my go-to. They taste good. They're substantial enough to hold all your messiest toppings on your burger, or like I said, you can shape them into hot dog buns or brat buns, but they just taste fantastic, and so they're just worth the time and effort. So I hope you'll give this a try. Like I said, the recipe was from the King Arthur flour website. They are not sponsoring this video. It's just a recipe I found, and it works well perfectly every time. It's always delicious, and you might want to go to their website and check out some of their other recipes too. And like I said, they have great advice, tips and tricks for baking all kinds of things, and they have great recipes that are posted there for you to try. And they also have a hotline, so if you run into any trouble while you're baking a recipe, you can call them, and they have people on staff that will give you advice and help you through whatever quandary you're having at the moment. So it's a really great website. I love them, and I love their flour. And like I said, I love supporting a company that's employee owned. So anyway, give this a try. For those of you who are waiting for my update on the hummus video, I have not forgotten. I'm just working on a few things for the update. So as soon as I work through that, I will be sure to post a video. So I appreciate your patience there, but it's Memorial Day weekend. I know you'll be grilling, and I really hope you'll give these buns a try because they are absolutely delicious and worth all the effort. So have a wonderful holiday weekend. Enjoy time with family, time off work, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me.